Hello and welcome to 12 p.m. Radio News. I'm your host Chris Koo and you're listening to 1680 The Crow Burnaby. A nonprofit group that supports families is holding Halloween costumes for children in need. Our reporter Anthony Atanasov has more on how the Mamas for Mamas group is supporting kids this Halloween.
The Mamas for Mamas nonprofit organization is hosting their second annual Costumes for Kids event Saturday, October 14th at Vancouver Island Regional Library's Nanaimo Harborfront branch. The organization typically provides support for mothers and caregivers that are struggling and offers support to families that are dealing with poverty. The costume program, which was started by Amy Armit, collects Halloween costumes donated from the public and gives them to children that need one. The program looks to provide costumes to those who can't afford them, while subsequently aiding in making a more environmentally friendly Halloween. Costumes will be available to borrow from 12 to 3 p.m. This is Anthony Atanasov with 1680 The Crow.
Our reporter Anthony Atanasov is here with us today. So Anthony, tell us how is the Mamas for Mamas group helping kids this Halloween?
You know, Chris, I spoke to Amy Armit, the head organizer of this event on Saturday, and she says, well, this event's supposed to help parents financially. When it comes to Halloween, more importantly for children, to give them more autonomy when it comes to choosing their costumes. Halloween is a big deal for kids, so Amy thinks it's important that kids have that choice.
Right. And what were some challenges the group faced when organizing this program?
Well, Chris, after speaking to Amy this morning, I was sort of surprised to see that the turnout for this upcoming event is actually a bit lower when it comes to last year. Even though last year had enormous success with a big influx of costumes being donated and a large number of people turning out, it's been a lot more difficult to get the message across this time around. And a big part of that is due to some of the social media restrictions. Last year, there was a lot more advertising from Nanaimo News when it came to the event. But this time, it doesn't seem like we're getting that same voice. And, you know, these are, after all, volunteers who have full-time working jobs, so it's hard to get that extra time.
Right. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Thanks, Chris.
The United States is not putting any specific conditions on how Israel uses American-provided munitions against Hamas. Sagar Magani from the Associated Press reports from abroad.
Asked if the U.S. wanted Israeli assurances that the weapons not be used against civilians.
This is a professional military led by professional leadership, and we would hope and expect that they would do the right things.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says he'll leave it up to the Israelis to define their own operations.
We have no reason to believe that they would do anything different.
After a NATO ministers meeting in Brussels, Austin says the U.S. will keep working to get Israel whatever it needs, while also supporting Ukraine.
The United States can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Travel businesses are scrambling to rebook passengers and reroute itineraries as the war sparked by Hamas attacks on Israel ramps up. Archie Korostelov says it's been all hands on deck at this Toronto-based company, Peerless Travel, which had nearly 100 tourists in the country when fighting broke out, and more than 40 more tour groups slated to visit before the end of the year.
We had to jump into, on one hand, help people that wanted to fly back and repatriate to Canada. On the other hand, we had a lot of Israelis that wanted to fly into Israel to volunteer medical staff that are on residencies and fellowships abroad here in Canada and the U.S.
Following Hamas incursions over the weekend, Israel hit back with ongoing airstrikes into the Gaza Strip ahead of a possible ground invasion and amid concerns the fighting could spiral into a regional conflict. Drivers in Metro Vancouver may be kicking themselves for not filling up their gas tanks on Wednesday as prices increased overnight. On Thursday morning, prices are hovering around $184.90 per liter, which is roughly a 10-cent jump. Gas expert Dan Matee credits the gas price volatility to the ongoing conflict in the Israel region, annual refinery maintenance, and U.S. interest rates. He also mentioned the up and down pricing has become the new normal around this time of the year. A new Korean restaurant is gearing up to open next to Lohi Town Center in Burnaby, where the city's one and only Red Robin was located. Secret Garden is set to offer savory Korean fusion cuisine with both a buffet and grill. According to its social media pages, the Sullivan Heights business aims to be a blooming oasis full of unique culinary dishes. It's not known exactly when Secret Garden's official grand opening date will be. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in Yellowknife today, and he says the federal government is providing support for housing in the Northwest Territories in the wake of this year's devastating wildfires.
Here in Yellowknife today, we can announce that we'll build 50 new affordable homes for the people who need it the most with federal funding under the Rapid Housing Initiative. The government of the Northwest Territories is also a financial partner, and the city of Yellowknife provided the land. Work on the construction site is already underway.
The project is expected to be completed by 2025. An Air Canada pilot has been fired after he shared anti-Israel social media posts of himself during a protest in Montreal. In a message posted Wednesday on X, formerly known as Twitter, the carrier said that we can confirm the pilot in question no longer works for Air Canada following the process initiated on Monday. On Tuesday, the company said the employee was removed from service after it was made aware of the post it described as unacceptable. Vancouver Canucks goaltender Thatcher Demko was pulled from Wednesday night's game versus the Edmonton Oilers after he puked in his mask, said head coach Rick Tocchet. Tocchet said the entire team had been dealing with the flu through the week, and to the team's relief, Demko stopped 21 of 22 shots before being pulled midway through the third period. Today's weather will be sunny with fog patches dissipating this morning with highs of 15 Celsius except 19 inland, and tonight will be clear with fog patches in low-lying areas overnight. And that's everything for the 12 p.m. news today. Have a great start to your afternoon Thursday, and I'm your anchor, Chris Koo.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Trettenero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
Welcome to 1680 The Crow. I'm your host, Ben Bugera. On today's feature podcast, we are focusing on the amalgamation of 3 Junior B hockey leagues around British Columbia to create Hockey Canada's new Junior A League. Alongside me today is local PJHL play-by-play man, Zach Clark. Zach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just great. I'm super excited to talk about the new Junior A Tier 2 system that Hockey Canada has brought into BC and all the new things that will come as a result of that.
Absolutely agree, Zach. I'm really interested to see how this new league format is going to affect development for young hockey players and their aspirations to get into the pros. I actually had the opportunity to sit down with Edward Epstein, the owner and president of the Delta IceHawks, the other day, to discuss the new format and what he believes is a really good move by Hockey Canada.
Well, I think that it's a great move by Hockey Canada, and it gives an opportunity for local athletes to play close to home if they choose to. Whether there are any changes, I would say we still operated under the same model as previously because we are given some time to comply with Junior A requirements. So all teams committed to comply with the Junior A requirements.
So what are some of these requirements? Well, firstly, Hockey Canada has an independent advisory board that will be checking which teams fit best with the Junior A system. There's an understanding that the advisory board will eventually add separate requirements, and there's an enhanced dedication to getting players on the roster from BC and Yukon, ensuring grassroots hockey stays throughout BC junior hockey.
So there's a certain criteria, there's a bar that all teams have to meet. So some teams, I feel they are ahead of the curve and they're already meeting or exceeding that bar. And I think that, in my view, some teams are still working towards that bar, but we're all given some time to meet those requirements.
The teams that do make it to Tier 1 will have a better chance at making it to national tournaments, and the players on those teams will have a better shot at making it onto the national team rosters.
We will be at par with other Junior A leagues in Canada, and perhaps if we're not quite at that level, we will be in just a few years, and some teams may be there sooner.
Striving towards Tier 1, Edward is already making strides to make the Delta IceHawks a leader in their community.
So we are investing more time and effort into community and trying to fill that gap that perhaps some schools may feel that once Junior A exits Hockey Canada, there might be a gap. So we're trying to fill that gap.
With the BCHL, the province's former leading Junior A league, leaving Hockey Canada amid disagreements about player development paths, Edward told me his league has more options for players from BC trying to turn pro.
So BCHL is a great league. The reality is it's very difficult for a player to make that league because they're competing against players from the US and they're competing against now players from Europe. And there's so much talent, local talent, that want to have that Junior A experience. They want to have that opportunity at the college sports. So there is room for BCHL. Obviously, it's a higher level league, and there is room for PJHL, who is now a Junior A league.
The PJHL is very focused on developing not just local players, but the league as a whole to the next level of competition.
Right, so Canadian business model has major junior on top as the highest level of junior hockey, and our league is now just a level below that. So, and when you look at that business, at that hockey model, and the whole hockey business, it's not just about players, it's also about officials, developing officials, it's also about volunteers and all the infrastructure that goes into hockey.
With the PJHL entering Junior A, it now provides players with a better opportunity to play closer to home.
This year alone, we had 5 players that expressed interest in pursuing Junior A and going to play in Saskatchewan and other provinces. And when Junior A league was announced that PJHL is now Junior A, they all changed their mind. They're saying there's no reason for us. We can play at this level close to home.
With Tier 1 aspirations in mind, Edwards says there's a lot of work left to build the Ice Hawks into a top contender in the new league.
I see a lot of talent on the ice, but it's like making a cake. You may have great ingredients, you may not come up with a great cake. So it's still early in the season, great start, but there's still a lot of work to be done by coaches and by team. Find that chemistry in the players and making that talent work and click and play to their potential.
First and foremost, we believe that a fair opportunity for all athletes to choose their route is, first and foremost the number one thing, right? So whether an athlete wants to go, major, junior, or college-bound route, that's a choice that they get to obviously make that decision. And
Campbell believes there are some prime examples in today's NHL of players who thrived having a say in their own development.
The prime example, especially for us here, local in British Columbia, is Connor Bedard, right? He's an 05 kid, attending high school, and he's able to go play in Regina with the WHL, which, obviously is fully supportive of his choice. But a kid who, might be in high school back in Ontario, can't choose the BCHL as the route he wants to take. Instead, he has to, go over to the United States and play in U.S. hockey to continue his, college aspirations. So for us, that was the biggest point for us was making sure that every athlete, when they grow up and decide to make the choice of what they want to do.
Campbell believes the BCHL doesn't need the help of Hockey Canada to continue producing high-quality NCAA prospects.
That was our biggest thing, was making sure that they had, that the fair share of options they could choose from. And, without disrespecting the other, Canadian junior hockey leagues, the BCHL, in its 61-year history, is the number one junior hockey league. We send, the most kids to NCAA schools than any of the other combined leagues put together.
Campbell also believes that player development is not limited to just on-ice activities.
Again, these young men are that. They're young men, right? They're learning and developing in their brain as well as on the ice, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of that part too. So, the holistic approach that we have is that, yes, we want to make sure every single player is taken care of on ice and off ice, make sure they're a better player on the ice, and make sure they're a better person off the ice.
Campbell says the focus for developing players is supporting them in whatever path they want to take to achieve the ultimate goal of playing in the NHL.
No, I think the big thing is reminding everyone why we're here, right? We're here for the players, right? Whether that be players who are college tracking athletes, whether it be players who are looking to major junior, or players who are undecided right now, right? Our whole goal in getting in this business is to provide the proper opportunity for the guys and the girls who are battling and trying to reach their dreams. So that's my big thing is reminding everyone of what we're here for, why we're doing this all. Why we spend early mornings and late nights and stressful, times is because we want to make sure we're providing the best opportunity for every single player that wants to live out, his or her dreams.
And like Edward said, Zach, it's going to take a lot of work for his team and others like it to build into top Tier 1 competitors for the new Junior A system. It's also going to be really interesting to see if the new league can rival what the BCHL has done in terms of player development.
Yeah, Ben, there's two very different paths being created now, with the BCHL splitting off into its own league, and the Junior A system will probably take a few years to get completely established.
That it will, Zach, but obviously it's going to be interesting and going to be fun for British Columbians to see more local hockey in the community. And that's it for us today on this feature. I'm Ben Bugera for my partner Zach Clark. Follow us on social media at BCIT News on Twitter, myself at Ben Bugera_, and Zach at Zach Clark Media. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the lower mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it.